I'm Aaron from PhoneDog.com, and it's part 2 of an exciting Android dogfight between the LG Nexus 4, also known as the Google Nexus 4, and the HTC One X Plus. Which one's going to take home the gold medal? We'll find out in the dogfight, but first, special thanks to our friends at Best Buy Mobile for giving us devices like these for use in our One Paw Bandit giveaway game, which we turn around and give to you on the site at instantwin.phonedog.com. When you go into Best Buy Mobile, you won't deal with rebates. I hate paperwork. You hate paperwork? Who likes paperwork? At Best Buy Mobile, you won't deal with paperwork, waiting 8 to 10 weeks, getting the debit cards that everybody hates, etc., etc. At Best Buy Mobile, you'll walk out paying the after rebate price. Let's take a look. It's part 2 of a dogfight between the Nexus 4 and the One X Plus. Which one of these has the chops to be on top? We'll find out in part 2, which starts right now. Part 2 of a dogfight video between two awesome Android devices, and I'm going to say the same thing I've said over the holiday season. They're both great devices. It depends on what you like. Yes, there will be a winner declared. Yes, there are pros and cons to both, but at the end of the day, you've got to decide what's best for you. And what's more important? Is it battery life? Is it stock Android? Is it Sense 4 Plus? Is it some of the benefits that come with the skin? Is it the purity of stock Android? A lot of different choices to choose from, but I'm here to try and help it help it be a little bit easier for you. So you got two devices here, the LG Nexus 4, also known as the Google Nexus 4, available through Google Play for $349.99 for the 16GB version, even cheaper, $299.99 for the 8GB version, and that's unlocked, unsubsidized. You're not signing a contract. It works on T-Mobile and on AT&T, and it doesn't have 4G LTE. So yeah, you got some pros and cons. It does not have 4G LTE. It only supports HSPA Plus on T-Mobile. It only supports HSPA Plus 21 megabits per second on AT&T. But what it does have is a quad-core 1.5 gigahertz processor, a Snapdragon S4 Pro CPU, and just when you look at this device for $300, you're getting a lot of bang for the buck. You're getting the quad-core processor, the HD display that's 4.7 inches in size, 8-megapixel camera, Android 4.2, 2,100 milliamp hour battery, lots of different things on this device. Then you get the HTC One X Plus over here. This thing is an evolution to the One X, which was announced earlier in the year on AT&T. It's packing a 1.7 gigahertz quad-core NVIDIA Tegra 3 CPU, a 4.7-inch HD display, an 8-megapixel camera with 1080p HD recording. Got a bunch of other goodies like 2,100 milliamp hour battery. Got 4G LTE connectivity. So you do get the LTE over here, but the big benefit here, for $200 on AT&T on contract, you get 64 gigabytes of internal storage. That's going to be great for a lot of people because this is one of the few devices on AT&T with the iPhone 5 that has 64 gigabytes of internal storage. This, $199. iPhone 5 at 64 gigabytes, $399. So you can see there's a huge difference between the two. Now let's take a look at browser and launch off by talking about this, and then we'll go back to what I was talking about in part 1, which was customization and some of the differences between Android 4.2 and Android 4.1 with a skin. First of all, browser on PhoneDog.com on both of these devices, and you can see again stock Android look and feel up here with the battery meter, with the signal strength indicator, and with the clock, but overall incredibly fast all around in the browser area. I love Google Chrome. It performs incredibly well, and I like little things like the tabs here. I like the little animations that the tabs do. I think that's really impressive all around. It really just gives it a clean, good-looking feel and makes it much easier to use. That said, there are on-screen buttons, and they're on-screen throughout most of the duration of your using the device. So, you know, it's 4.7-inch display, but when you factor in the on-screen buttons, it reduces ever so slightly. That may bug you. You may not care, but keep it in mind when you're looking at buying this device. Otherwise, pinch to zoom, nice and fast. Then you got this over here. Very responsive all around. And you got your tabs up top where I can click on those, and it brings up kind of an HTC look and feel. Nothing really new here by any means. When I go to tabs, it's got the same HTC animation we've seen in previous versions of Sense. Then of course you have the menu button up here, or like I showed off in part 1, you can press one tap on the recent applications button because I have it configured to be the menu button. Then you're going to see some new stuff, back and forward buttons in the menu, add to, and then of course things like view desktop site and more. Then you get this little bar down here at the bottom where you can Facebook it, you can tweet it, you can share, show what's popular, news, and more from your browser area. So that's pretty cool. Let's jump in actually when we'll talk about personalization a little bit more on both of these devices. Like I was showing off in part 1, you've got widgets, but then you've got, you know, from the core of almost everything, there's personalization over here on Sense 4 Plus. You may love it, you may hate it, but using the contacts area as an example, we'll come over here to people, and we'll come up and load up our various contacts. So for example, Bill Stevenson, we'll look at it on both devices, and you can see same picture, you get a little bit of a different look and feel on these devices. Stock Android over here, Android 4.1 with Sense 4 Plus over here, and you've got some nice options. This is what I really like about HTC and the skins as a whole. They take something that is really impressive, Android 4.2 or 4.1, and they make it even better. They add some better features that Google didn't even think about. So my thought is with Android 4.3 or Android 5.0 or whatever they go to next, take a look at some of these things in TouchWiz and Sense, and they should really implement them into Android 4.2. There is no reason why stock Android shouldn't have a physical battery percentage indicator, for example, or little things like that that just make life easier, and you can turn them off if you don't want them, but it'd be nice to have those. I can scroll over here to Bill Stevenson and see the thread, so I can see the text messages, the emails, although granted, Gmail emails, say that 3 times fast. Gmail emails don't come up in here because of the API, and then call history, and you have updates as well, gallery, and more. Then over here, more of, again, a clean, a stock look, a more minimalist look. You get the mobile, you get the ability to message, and then I can edit and add new fields down through here. We're going to not change that because we want to keep that the same. And you can see it's a Google contact for my heronbaker@gmail.com address. I've got my phone, I can add some stuff like addresses, but really it's a clean, minimalistic version as opposed to this, where I can come over here to thread, and just from an organizational perspective, I think there's a lot to like over here because I can instantly see when we text messages, or when we messaged rather, when we called, when we last emailed. Easy and quick over on the HTC side. Let's take a look at speed tests as well. We'll start with quadrant standard, which is kind of a measure of a benchmark of performance, if you will, of the devices, and we'll talk about call quality on both units. Call quality has been pretty impressive. That stopped. Let's start that back up. Been very impressive all around on both of these devices. The earpieces, which is something that's nice for me because I feel like I'm partially deaf at times. I don't know if it's because I work with cell phones as much as I do, but earpieces are nice and loud. Speakerphones were relatively loud. I find the 1X Plus a little bit easier to hold in the hand just because it's curved on the back, so it fits the natural grip of my hand as opposed to the Nexus 4. Both feel great, don't get me wrong, but if I had to choose one to be on a conference call for 2 hours with, like I'm often on calls, I would choose the 1X Plus as opposed to the Nexus 4 just by the way it felt in the hand. Now I took these to their respective dead spots. I have a T-Mobile SIM card in here, and AT&T SIM card obviously on the 1X Plus. Been pretty impressed with call quality on both of these devices. They were both kind of choppy when you got into the 0 bar area, but for the most part, it worked fine. Both retained their call quality, both stayed connected, so I didn't worry about any disconnected calls or anything like that. But overall was very, very impressed. Now take this with a grain of salt because I think there's something going on with the Nexus 4, something to do with the processor, perhaps energy conservation on the processor, but the quadrant standard score is 4,737 over here. On the 1X Plus, it's 7,536. So yeah, it's much faster, but again, take it with a grain of salt because honestly, this has got to be a lot faster. Both of these devices are incredibly fast in day-to-day performance. I've had little to no lag issues with either one of these units. Now we're going to take a break from the speed test when it comes to the network side to talk about something that's particularly exciting, and that is Google Now. So we'll load up Google Now, for example, on both of these devices. Press and hold the home button over here. Hold the home button and start it up by scrolling up just like I did, as you saw, and then we'll see the weather. We'll see suggestions and improving my location and more. Now this thing has gotten really, really smart since it came out. Among other things, it gives you the ability to track packages. So if you have a FedEx or a UPS number in an email, you can track packages and it'll keep you updated on the delivery status. You got the ability to just keep updated on flight status, on vacation information, on traffic information, on time, and more. So it really does a good job. Google. Let's see if we can start it up. Google. What's the weather like in Dallas?
It's 70 degrees and cloudy in Dallas.
What's the weather like in Dallas?
It's 70 degrees and cloudy in Dallas.
And so you can see, and of course you have your web results down here at the bottom as well, but you get these really nice cards. What's the status on American Flight 79? And so you can see, you check your flight status and more. Find status on UPS tracking number 1ZQV25A4. That didn't work as well as I wanted it to, but if you have it in an email account, or email address rather, you can look it up. And obviously that's not a real FedEx tracking number or UPS tracking number anyway, I was making that up. But you've got the ability to do all of that from the Google Now area. Another thing I want to point out on the Nexus 4 that I like a lot and we didn't really get around to, are the lock screens on both of these devices. You've got a great amount of customization on both units. I have a great personalization option over here where I have my Dallas weather, and I can bring that into the lock screen, but I have it set up on the productivity home screen, or productivity lock screen rather, so when I get a message, a missed call, an email, they all kind of show up underneath this Dallas weather, and then I can always drag shortcuts down into the circle, like phone, for example, and more, just by dragging it right down. I think that's a pretty cool feature right out of the box. And of course you have messages as well, and you can change that around as you see fit. Nexus 4 with stock Android 4.2 has a great feature also where from the lock screen I can access Google Now, or from the lock screen I can scroll over and add widgets. So I can scroll back over and access camera in real time, or I can easily access messaging or email with a voice crack as well. And I can come over here and add another one also. So for example, Gmail, let's add something else, because we've got our messages, we've got our contacts, or our emails rather. Let's add a calendar, and then we'll bring that over here to this home screen. So I've got my calendar right here. Let's see if I can customize that and make it a little bit bigger. Hoping we can. There we go. And I can scroll back and forth. Messaging, inbox, and I can see my calendar. I can see all of that without even unlocking the screen, which I think is really a useful feature. So it's a tough call between these devices. One's got to win. We're going to sign off by doing a speed test as I give you the winner of the Dogfight. And like anything else, it's a challenge. There are a lot of great choices out there. We'll go into speed test. And there's a lot of great choices within these two units. It depends on what you like. If you want the stock Android experience, you're obviously going to be drawn to the Nexus 4. If you like the customization aspect, 64 gigabytes of internal storage appeals to you, you like the design, you're going to probably want to go with the HTC One X Plus. So it's decisions as usual for a lot of people. That said, the winner of the Dogfight for a combination of things, features, performance, price, all of that combined, goes to the HTC One X Plus. The One X Plus is probably the most underrated device in the smartphone market right now, at least for the holiday season. Very impressed all around with the look and feel, with the improvements. Battery life could be a little bit better. That said, very impressed all around. The fact that you get 64 gigs of internal storage for $200, really a great value proposition. And you get some great software stuff over on the One X Plus as well. Nexus 4 priced incredibly competitively given the fact that it's full retail. That said, Android 4.2 is very clean and awesome, and it's got a lot of things to like. Couple things. I don't think it's ready for the mainstream consumer. I don't think there's enough of a value add in Android 4.2. It's kind of like a skinned down version of Android, and they kind of left it to the manufacturers to put in some nice software features that I think a lot of people will like. So the winner is the HTC One X Plus. Keep it locked on PhoneDog.com for continuing coverage of both of these devices. Let me know what you think on Twitter at PhoneDog_Aaron and at Aaron C. Baker, which is my personal account. And let me know what you think. I'd love to hear from you, which one you like more. Tell me why you like stock Android, rather. Tell me why you like the One X Plus and Sense 4. Love to hear from you. Thanks so much for watching. Keep it locked on the site for continuing coverage of both of these units as we go into the crazy holiday shopping season. Stay tuned to PhoneDog.com for all the best news, reviews, and more. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.